Your first hire will either buy back your time and freedom, or it will create more headaches for you than you ever imagined. And I've seen too many entrepreneurs get this completely wrong. My name is Michael Elsner, and after having built multiple seven-figure businesses, I've learned that your first hire is not about getting the cheapest help you can find. It's actually about creating systems that scale your impact while protecting your sanity. And today I'm going to show you exactly who to hire first. I'm going to share with you the three-step system that makes them immediately effective. And I'm also going to share the mindset shift that separates successful entrepreneurs from those who stay stuck doing the $10 an hour tasks. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share the one question that transformed how I work with my team. And I am positive the answer to that will save you thousands of dollars in wasted time and energy. Here's what too many people get wrong about their first hire. They think they need someone to help them with marketing or content creation or sales, but that's actually backwards thinking. Now, at some point, they're going to need that type of help, but not right off the bat. Your first hire should be a part-time assistant, and their primary role should be customer service and membership support. Now, here's why this is so critical. As an online entrepreneur, you are going to get a lot of emails. You're going to get responses to your nurture content emails. You're going to get support requests. You're going to get login issues. People have payment questions. And if you're spending your time dealing with those issues, you're actually not focused on the high value activities that actually grow your business. Now, this is a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And in this book, he poses a very simple question. Is this a 10X task, or is this a 2X task? Meaning, is this task that you're focused on going to 10X your business, or is it going to 2X your business? Now, you should never be doing any of the 2X tasks. Your focus always needs to be on the 10X tasks. So you can think about it this way. If you're worth $200 an hour creating content or coaching clients, why would you spend that same amount of time answering the $10 an hour, I forgot my password emails? Okay, so the goal of your first hire is very simple. You want to get those emails off your plate. You want to get the membership support tasks off your plate because those actually take up a massive amount of time and energy. And let me give you the exact three-step system that I use to make any assistant that I work with immediately effective. Step one is you're going to want to create a dedicated support email. Set up a dedicated email that people reply to when your emails go out. Now, this could be something like support at or clients at or coaching at. And if you're going to use those, bear in mind that those particular email addresses can actually trigger spam filters. So I do not recommend sending emails to your subscribers from any of those particular addresses. Use those only as a reply to email, not your primary sending from. Now that's a whole other topic that we're not going to cover today, but just bear in mind that your support email should be completely different than your primary sending email. Now, that said, your assistant, of course, they're going to have access to this account, and they should start by logging in and checking it at least every other day. Most of the questions that are going to come in are going to be very basic. I lost my login. How do I access the course? Can I change my payment method? Or you're just going to, have hate mail sent to you there. But either way, these responses, they do not require your genius level thinking. Now, step two is you're going to want to create automatic response templates. This is extremely easy to do. If you've already been handling your emails, you already probably have them at least set aside. Just make sure that these responses are documented. Maybe they're in your brain, right? But you want to document them. That way, when someone asks for their login, you already have a response ready to go. Your assistant can simply copy and paste it into the email and hit send. Now, if someone says, there's a response to it here. You can keep these in a shared Google Drive with checklists for your assistant to follow. Again, this is very, very, very simple, but it's systematic and it's nearly impossible to get this wrong. But here's the key. You want to empower your assistant to draft up automated responses as well. Have them put new templates into the folder for new questions that come up. And then once a week or once every 2 weeks, go in and review them. You can revise them. You can put them into your own words, but give your assistant the opportunity to be empowered to solve problems. The third step is to set up an autoresponder. Now, every support email should have an autoresponder that says something along the lines of, "Thank you for your email. We will get back to you within the next 48 hours." This way, people will know that you received their email, and they're not going to, blow up your inbox every 6 hours checking up to make sure that, you're following up with them. They know that you're going to get back to them within a reasonable amount of time. I would recommend setting that to about 48 hours. Now, once your assistant is handling support effectively, the next step is to teach them your platforms, show them your email system, show them your landing page builder, show them your funnels, teach them the layout. Because as you grow your business, you're going to find that you're going to be doing repetitive tasks. Okay, every week you're doing the same administrative or systematic work. And the reality is that most of it, if not all of it, does not require your creative input. So the next goal should be to film the tasks that you're doing using something like Zoom or Riverside, Loom, or any other screen sharing software that you have. Record yourself performing the entire task, talk your way through what you're doing, then hand that video over to your assistant. Have them lay it out clearly and create checklists based on what you showed, all right? So here's where this gets very powerful. When you find yourself doing repetitive tasks that are not creative, tasks that are more administrative or systematic, you want to hand those immediately off to someone else because those are 2x tasks. The goal is to create systems for those 2x tasks and hand them off to someone else. This allows you to buy back your time so that you can focus on the high-level 10x tasks, and that's the creative work like coaching, creating content, or developing programs. And this is the work that actually requires your knowledge, it requires your experience, and it requires your unique skill set. Now, here's where I see so many entrepreneurs literally sabotage themselves. They become micromanagers through this process. And now I want to encourage you to not fall into that trap. When you bring someone onto your team, teach them the system, but empower them to make decisions. And let me share a story that changed everything for me. I have an assistant who's absolutely amazing. And when we first started working together, whenever an email came in, that we didn't have a template for, he would send me a message and he would ask, "How do you want me to respond to this?" Now, of course, I knew why he was doing this. He didn't want to make a mistake, right? But here's the thing. The way that people learn is through doing. And mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. The way that I learned how to run businesses was through making mistakes. I cannot even count the number of mistakes that I've made in the last 7 years or so. You have to let your employees make mistakes. Not blindly, of course, but if you empower them with the freedom to make decisions for the business, you're also empowering them to make mistakes. That's the only way that they're going to learn. So when my assistant would ask, "Well, how do I respond to this?" It got to the point where I would just message him back and I would say, "How would you respond if this was your business? If you own this business, how would you respond to this question?" Sometimes it would be members asking to extend a payment or change a payment option, and I just simply ask, "Well, what would you do?" And he'd say, "Well, if it was my business, I would do this, 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 and this, and this." And I'd respond and I'd say, "Awesome. Well, that's the response that you're going to send. You do not need my permission to make a decision for the betterment of the company." And after he would create the response, he'd add it to our list of automatic pre-written responses up in the Google Drive. And I would go in and I would check it. And if needed, I would just make some tweaks. But then I would explain to him, why I made those tweaks. I wanted him to understand the why behind that so that he could be better at it next time he went in and wrote out a template response. So here's the key. If you're on the same page with your employee, which you should be, right? Because they're getting a paycheck from you. And if the business goes down, they don't get a paycheck. So if you're on the same page with your employee, then trust them to make the right decision and empower them. And when you do this, it actually creates something magical. Instead of having an assistant who just follows orders, you have a team member who thinks like an owner. They start solving problems before they become problems. They start improving systems without being asked. They start coming up with ideas to help grow the company. So the transformational question that really changed everything for me was simply asking, how would you handle this if this was your business? Now, this one question shifted my assistant from someone who constantly asked for permission or direction to someone who would make decisions that moved the business forward. When you implement this system correctly, something incredible will happen. You're going to buy back hours of your time every single day. Instead of being buried in support emails and administrative tasks, you're going to become free to focus on the 10x tasks that actually grow your business. Your assistant becomes an extension of your customer service philosophy. That's very important. They're not just answering emails, they're actually representing your brand, and they're building a relationship with your customers. And the beautiful part about this is that as your business grows, this same framework scales. You can add more team members, you can create more systems, and you can continue buying back more and more of your time. Of course, the goal is not just to build a business, it's to build a business that serves your life instead of consumes your life. So if you're ready to make your first hire and start buying back your time, here's what I want you to do. First, audit how much time you're spending on administrative tasks each week. I guarantee you it is more than you think. Second, I want you to set up a dedicated support email and start documenting the most common questions or support tickets that you get. Create those pre-written responses. And then third, I want you to start looking for a part-time assistant who can grow with your business. You want to find someone who you can work with for years, not just months. Now, if you found this valuable, let me know what administrative tasks are you most excited to get off of your plate. And make sure, of course, to subscribe because I'm going to be sharing more systems and more strategies for building a business that gives you freedom and not just revenue. And then finally, remember this: your time is your most valuable asset. Protect it like your business depends on it, because it does. We'll talk to you later.